Welcome to the Insomnia Project. Sit back, relax, and listen as we have a conversation about the mundane. One thing we can promise you is that our conversation will be less than fascinating, so that you can feel free to just lie back, sit back, lean against a nice wall, and drift off and relax and enjoy it. We do want you to listen and sleep as well. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at Listen and Sleep. I'm your host, Marco Timpano.
And I'm your co-host, Nidhi Khanna. Marco, we received some wonderful feedback from one of our listeners who emailed in to say that they enjoyed the last episode where we were recording from outside because of all the
sounds.
The natural ambiance that they felt we were recording in. And so
we're back outside.
And this time we have a little friend. I'm going to ask that we stay silent for a moment,
okay.
Marco, because I'd like our listeners to help identify
this sound. So it's not a donkey is what I'll say.
No, it's not.
The sounds that you may have heard in the last episode are the rustling of the trees from a Norwegian maple I have in my backyard, my neighbor's air conditioner coming on, obviously planes overhead, a couple of the kids walking by having fun, cars in the background as well, the odd person on the cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
And birds.
And so I'm guessing that this sound is coming from a bird.
Yes.
But if any of our listeners have any idea of what bird this may be.
The squawking bird.
Bird, yeah. I don't recall hearing this particular type of bird in the area before, so I'm intrigued. Marco, you have a beautiful, I think you mentioned it was a Norwegian wood?
Yeah, it's Norwegian maple.
Oh,
and
Norwegian
I know
maple.
that because I called a arborist in to take a look at the tree because I felt like it was in need of some attention. You can see some of the branches don't have leaves on it.
Yes.
So this was a couple of years back, and I was kind of like, I'm concerned about my maple. I love this maple. In the fall, it's beautiful orange and red leaves, and I want to continue to care for it. So I had this arborist come in, and they said, oh, it's a Norwegian maple. And I was like, oh, great, a Norwegian maple. And then he said,
sounds very strong, a Norwegian maple.
You know, you'd think. And he's like, oh, it's an invasive species of maple. And then I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, it's one of the maple trees that sort of I don't know what the word is, but they sort of like grow faster than our sugar maples or other native species here in Canada, and so they can be problematic because they can overcrowd areas where our native species of maple. So my love for the tree sort of, waxed off a bit there when the arborist was kind of like talking about this particular beautiful tree that I love. It's what would you say, like easily 14 feet high.
Oh, yeah.
And but then I fell back in love with the Norwegian maple. Even though it is not a native species, it is quite majestic here with its leaves, and it provides a great deal of cover for us from the sun and the sound of the wind as it wrestles through the leaves. I don't think it's called wrestle through the leaves. It's rustle. As rustles through the leaves is always a beautiful sound that we have here in our postage stamp of a backyard in the city of Toronto, which we're very happy to have. A little bit of space that you can just kind of sit back, relax, and record as we are right now. Nidhi, what birds are you a fan of? Or what's the most exotic bird you've ever seen in the wild?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not a big connoisseur of birds, to be quite honest. I mean, I've seen the robins and the sparrows.
Sure.
I I've seen a hawk once.
Okay.
I like hawks.
Yeah.
Very. I'd love to see an eagle.
Oh, I've seen eagles. I've seen bald eagles too.
Really?
Yeah. I've seen
They
them in the
seem
wild.
quite majestic.
They're large. They're big.
Yeah.
And they're very sort of like, they take up their space. They don't seem afraid. You know what I mean? They're very like, I'm an eagle and I know it.
Fair. What about parrots? Have you ever seen a parrot?
Not in the
before?
wild. No, I wish I have. I've seen. I saw a peacock in the wild,
Oh,
which is
yes.
weird. Yeah, it's
I've
like
seen peacocks in the
yeah,
wild too.
It's kind of neat. There was about like 9 peacock on the roof of a house in Florida. I saw once. They were just wild peacock. They're not native to Florida that I'm aware of, but I think someone had released a couple of peacock and they bred, and there was all these peacocks on a roof top, and they're really like their plumage is very
Beautiful
and big, right?
I want to say that
Voluminous.
I've seen a peacock in India before.
Okay,
but
I think it's an Asian.
Yeah,
an
I
Asian
think so
animal, yeah.
too. So I think that makes sense. And last time I was in London, I was in Holland Park, and there were peacocks roaming around the park, which makes me think that there's something to do with the royal family. I'm assuming the royal regal peacock.
Well, yes, I would imagine. Like it's such a majestic animal. So the peafowl include 2 Asiatic bird species: the blue or Indian peafowl, originally of India and Sri Lanka,
There we go.
and the green peafowl of Myanmar,
Okay.
Indochina, and Java, and 1 African species, the Congo peafowl, native only to the Congo Basin.
Now, Marco, did you know that male peacocks are the ones that have the bright feathers?
Yeah, the plumage that you see whenever you see a peacock, even like the NBC peacock is
Yes.
a male peacock, yeah. It's the male species of the animals that are brightly colored and have all the fancy detailing because they've got to attract their
Mate.
mate. And so, yeah, I did know that. Hmm.
That was the only fun fact I have.
Oh,
about
I'm sorry. I
peacocks.
didn't mean to slam that
No,
down, but
that's okay.
I did know that fun peacock fact. I love seeing quail. They're cute little
Quail?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're cute little animals running around. I've never really. I've eaten quail. I have. I always feel a little bit bad. Just like ducks. I love seeing waterfowl and ducks in particular. I
Yeah.
love watching them. I think they're such a beautiful bird.
Now, I did not know that swans
Mm-hmm.
were quite an aggressive
Oh, yes.
species, and that they, so here in Toronto, for example, if you
Yeah.
go by the harbour front,
Yes.
a friend of mine lives by the harbour front, and he was saying that they will watch to make sure there's not too many swans in the water, because it signifies that there's a big takeover that's about to happen.
You've got to be careful with those swan. You know, everyone
They're
talks
so
about.
aggressive that they will kind of take up all the food sources for the rest of the
Waterfowl.
waterfowl.
You know, geese are supposedly one of the best guard animals you could have in your home.
Really?
Yes, they're very territorial, and they're very aggressive, and they're very they will not back off. If there's an intruder in your home and you have a goose or geese as your protectors, they will attack, make noise, and they will be aggressive, and they will like shoo people out.
I feel like that's what they do even when they're in the wild.
Well, and imagine if you train one and you have one as a pet,
As a domesticated
and and that guards
goose?
your home. I would love to have geese as my protectors. Yeah,
Really?
walk around with a flock of geese that just kind of like protect you as you stroll.
It's very
through
badass.
dangerous parts of town. You know.
Marco, have you ever had a motorcycle?
No, I have my. Oh, it's interesting you should say that. I have my motorcycle license, but it's about to expire. I've got to check when it expires. I need to get
Renew
the next.
it?
Yeah, it's a graduated license system here in Ontario. So you
Right.
get you do the written test, and then you do a driving test, and you're allowed to have it for 3 to 5 years, and then you have to do the next test. So I don't have a motorcycle license. I'm sorry, I do have a motorcycle license that I need to ensure doesn't expire. I don't have a motorcycle, but I drive a scooter with that motorcycle license because I need a motorcycle license to drive my scooter. I could drive a motorcycle because I was trained on a motorcycle.
Like on a Harley motorcycle?
No, like a little Yamaha-y thing. I don't even think it was Yamaha. It was like one of those makes you've never heard of, like Mamaha. You're like, well, it kind of looks like a Yamaha, but it's not. But yeah, so I've never ridden a motorcycle like on vacation. Like I've rented scooters and motorbikes, but never a proper motorcycle.
I feel like the motorcycle lifestyle is almost like this unsaid cult that you become a part of. And I don't mean cult in a bad way. I know there's a bad connotation.
More like a culture, motorcycle culture, sure.
So when I was driving home from Montreal, I took the historical Highway 2, which
for our listeners is what exactly?
Is so you could highway between Montreal and Toronto. So you could take the normal highway, which is the Highway 401, which is the expressway.
And it's a big sort of freeway.
Yep.
Multi-lane.
Multi-lane. It's kind of boring.
But it gets you there quick.
That highway happened to be quite congested that day because I was coming home after a holiday weekend.
Okay.
And so I took the scenic route, as they say, which
is Highway 2?
Highway 2, and it's along the water of Lake Ontario.
Oh.
You go into all the little towns and
townships,
and it's quite pleasant and beautiful.
Right.
And the roads are very windy, so you can only really go 100 maximum kilometers an hour. And every so often, I would be behind a person on a motorcycle.
Right.
And they would pass another person on a motorcycle. And they would do a hand wave. And at first, I couldn't figure out what they were doing, if it was like a secret gesture. Because every single motorcyclist would signal to the other motorcyclist. However, after a few times of this happening, I realized that they were just waving to one another.
Yeah, it's a sort of special sort of signal that you give.
Yeah.
Yeah,
respect.
We're in this together. We're in the same sort of culture. We get it, kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
100 kilometers is about 62 miles for people who are listening from the U.S.
Oh yes, that's right.
So I will say this, Nidhi, have you ever taken a road trip where you're in a different, say, province or state or part of the world, and you see signs that are things you've always heard of, and you're like, oh, it's here. I remember we were in California driving one time, and I saw a sign that said Pismo Beach, and I was like, I've heard of Pismo Beach. Like, I remember it in a song or something. So I was with a bunch of friends. I'm like, we've got to pull over on the next ramp that says to Pismo Beach. And so we went to Pismo Beach, and they're like, what is it with you and Pismo Beach? And I think it was a Bugs Bunny episode that takes Bugs to Pismo Beach. I can't recall 100%, but we went to Pismo Beach, and Pismo Beach is famous for the Pismo Beach Clam that I wasn't aware of before.
The Pismo Beach Clam.
Yeah, there's a particular, I guess, clam in Pismo Beach, California. And I got a chance to sort of take the off-ramp to Pismo Beach. And, there's just so many places, like even, when you're in New York and you've heard of all these different buildings and you finally walk by Rockefeller Plaza or, just historic buildings, and you're like, oh, that's where it is. And seeing those things that you've either seen in books or on television many, many times over, and that have a sort of significance, and you're like, I'm here now, And it's always neat to sort of pull over.
Dear McDonald's, your breakfast menu? Fire. 10s across the board. I could be happy with anything, even though I ordered the same thing every time. Thanks for not judging me. I'll try something new next time. Maybe.
Score a 2 for $5 deal on a sausage McMuffin with egg and more. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Single item at regular price.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
To tip off this NBA season on FanDuel, you can choose your own rewards, which means you can play your game any way you want.
I get to choose my rewards?
Yep.
Great! Now, excuse me while I lock in.
All customers choose your own reward right now in the FanDuel app. 21 plus and present in select states. 18 plus in Kentucky. Opt-in required. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, leg requirement, and max wager amount. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
I remember that feeling a couple of times. Once when I first moved to London, England, and it was such a special experience and time in my life that every iconic landmark was very special to me, whether it was Trafalgar Square or seeing Buckingham Palace or the Tower of London. Even though they were very typical landmark and attractions, they were really special to me. I also remember standing in the Roman Forum in Rome for the first time ever and being very moved by the energy that I felt in those ruins.
Sure.
I don't know why. I don't know. And it was only the first time, because the second time I went to Rome and stood again in the Colosseum and then the Roman Forum, I didn't have the same feeling.
Right.
But the first time I did. So go figure.
I should mention that the Pismo clam, also known as the Tivella stultorum, is a species of large edible saltwater clam, a marine bivalve mollusk in the Veneridae, or the Venus clams. It's in that family of clams. Do you like clams, Nidhi?
I had razor clams recently.
In Montreal?
No,
'Cause I
here
had
in
razor
Toronto.
club
Oh, that's
clams
right.
in Montreal.
In that restaurant that you always want me to go to and
you
that I never go to.
There you go.
What's the name of that
The
restaurant?
restaurant is one of my favorite restaurants, and it's called Bouillon Bilk.
That's right.
And I've been imploring you to go for the last 3 or 4 years. And the funny thing is, Nidhi's always in Montreal. She's always heading to see, her hometown. And I'm always like, you've got to go. Please go. Please go. And she's like, I'll go. And she never goes.
Well, it's funny because when Marco, you first started telling me about Bouillon Bilk, it was sort of just this random place that you had stumbled upon when you were in Montreal. And then a few years ago, I was telling my friend in Montreal that, we need to go to Bouillon Bilk. My friend Marco keeps telling me about it. And she was like, you need to make reservations a few weeks in advance for that place. So I don't know if it's still the hottest place in town, but you clearly were ahead of the trend there.
There you go. See? But before we got on to this particular
razor clams.
Right, razor clams, because that's where I had my razor clams, my first razor clams, and I loved them.
So I had it at Bar Isabel here in Toronto, and they were fantastic. I didn't know what I was going to expect with the razor clams, but it was just so. I mean, the texture, the flavor, everything was phenomenal.
And do you know what a razor clam looks like? It doesn't look like a traditional clam. Do they serve it on the shell, on the half shell, or was it just like you?
It was on the half shell, yes.
So they're a long, skinny shell. Razor clams look kind of like a straight razor, I guess you would say. Like, the old time razors that they sort of like flip open and you can shave with. They're a longer, thinner type of clam, or shell for a clam. Yeah. I don't know how we got into clams.
I
but do
don't
you
know.
Like, so let me ask you this. If we're going to talk about clams,
Sure.
it's very important that we talk about New England clam soup or Manhattan clam soup. Sorry,
Oh,
I didn't say
chowder.
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 I made the
Whoa,
big
you
mistake. I
called
called
it soup.
I meant to say chowder.
I have to say New England.
And why is that?
Because it's, the traditional classic creamy chowder. It's, you know what, I'm actually thinking about it, but I don't think I've even had Manhattan clam chowder before.
Oh, you haven't? Huh?
No.
Well,
I think I've only ever had New England clam chowder. What's the difference?
Well, first let me say, with regards to clam chowders, I am a huge fan of New England clam chowders because not only do I love them, but my extended family, my wife's family, is from New England, so they make a wicked awesome chowder, whether it be seafood or clam. But the New England clam chowder is my favorite. And the more clams and potatoes and creaminess you can have in there, the happier I am. And they put, traditionally you get, I think they're called oyster crackers to put on top of the chowder.
So I know that in New England clam chowder, you can't have tomatoes.
Right.
But in the New York or the Manhattan clam chowder, you can.
Yeah, it's
Because I think it's funny because in, I believe, 1939, there was a bill introduced into the Maine legislature that banned tomatoes in their clam chowder.
For New England? For
New England.
Okay.
But the Manhattan clam chowder had more of an Italian root to it. And, of course, the tomatoes became part of
the Manhattan
clam chowder.
They're both great. I have had Manhattan clam chowder. I'll have to take you out for some Manhattan clam chowder.
I would like that.
It's I find it more stewy. Whereas,
okay, that makes sense.
The New England clam chowder, sometimes called the Boston clam chowder,
Yes.
is hearty and rich and creamy. Yeah.
I love having my Boston clam chowder in a bread bowl.
Oh, well, yes.
So in San Francisco, if you go by the pier,
Right.
there is, I forgot the name of this famous.
It's in a sourdough bowl.
Yes.
And I know exactly, and I've.
Have you been there?
Yes, and I've had it
We've
there
all
too,
been there,
and,
but I don't remember the name.
Oh, it will come to me probably but after our episodes.
Of course.
And we were just there. It's got like a one-word title. I can't think, but
We'll find it.
Yeah.
We'll find it.
But you had some chowder there in the sourdough.
Yes, and it was phenomenal. Phenomenal. I think clam chowder and chicken pot pie has to be two of my favorite, more North American type dishes. I love hearty chicken pot pie as well. Yeah. I mean, I guess chicken pot pie isn't necessarily North American, but I particularly enjoy it.
Sure. I do like, there's certain times of the year where I crave that, and it's nice. It's nice when you have sort of a food dish that you can claim as your own or part of your heritage, and you're like, oh, that's a go-to for me.
What is your go-to dish from your Italian roots?
Oh, that's a great question, Nidhi. I mean, for me, it depends on the season and what's available during that season. So, for example, when tomatoes are in season, I will easily whip up a caprese salad with tomato and mozzarella and basil, especially if the basil is fresh from the garden.
Oh, beautiful.
And I also I love so many dishes, but my go-tos, I love gnocchi, I love polenta. I love a bunch of different things that I would call staples in my household that I make during different times of the year. Like I like polenta when it's cold outside. That's I always have like a
okay.
polenta or a risotto when it's cold outside, and those are a couple of my go-tos. What are your go-tos?
In Indian cooking?
Yes.
I love palak paneer, which is spinach and sort of an Indian cottage cheese. That's one of my favorite dishes. I also enjoy a particular dal, like a sambar dal, which is a South Indian lentil, which is nice and spicy and very hearty. And you usually have it with a dosa, which is a South Indian cream of wheat pancake, really.
Yum.
It's very, very good. So I enjoy both of those. I enjoy a good chicken curry.
Sure.
Nothing beats a good chicken curry. I would have to say, though, if I was just ordering at a restaurant and they only gave me one choice, I would probably go for the palak paneer.
So Nidhi, we mentioned both our ethnic background, the food that we go to. Let's talk about the Canadian item or food item that we would go to.
Oh, Marco, that's an easy one for me because my go-to would have to be poutine.
Okay.
Of course, whether it is a afternoon or evening fare,
Right.
that I would have as a treat, or perhaps something at the end of a night at the bar. It's a good go-to
For our listeners
food.
who don't know what poutine is.
Oh, yes. Let me explain what it is. It is French fries with cheese curds and gravy. And it's a specialty of Quebec, really.
And there you go. Mine, you know I have a sweet tooth, so for me it would be the butter tart.
Ah, the butter tart, yes.
A flaky, crispy little tart that is filled with a delicious sweet goo. Sometimes you'll find raisins, sometimes you'll find pecans, and sometimes you won't find either of the two inside. And the restaurant in San Francisco that makes the chowder in the sourdough bowl is Boudin.
Yes, it is.
Yes, and
there you go.
I knew it would come to me.
Well, with that being said, Marco, as always, we want to thank our listeners for joining us, and you can tweet us at Listen and Sleep.
From my backyard in Toronto, we wish you a pleasant day, afternoon, or evening.